The channel. My name is Namin. I'm sharing with you my Common App activity section from like 5 years ago now, and I'm just going to be reflecting with you what works, what didn't work, what I would change, and what you can gain out of this activity section breakdown. And my goal with this channel is to share as much valuable advice and as much specific advice as possible to make your whole application process as easy as possible. If you don't know who I am, my name is Naman. I'm a medical student at Washington University, and I've been editing essays on and off for past 5 years or so. I'm really passionate about it, and yeah, let's just dive in. So right off the bat, we see activities, and I start with a category of research. So the research that I did was at Georgetown University, and a good tip as a high school student is that your biggest advantage is that you're a high school student, and people want to mentor young students who are really passionate and outgoing and who put themselves out there. And so, really, if you want to secure a research position, there are some really great programs that you can apply to, but they're very, very, very competitive. And so, something better that you can do is just cold email as many professors as possible at a university nearby in a field that you're interested in. So for me, that was neuroscience and biology that I was really interested in. And I had to cold email like 50, 60, 100, 150 researchers and just cold email, tell them who I am, why I'm interested in their lab, why I'm interested in research, what year I was, the things that I've done before, and ask them if they had a position for the summer for me to just be in the lab and help out as much as possible as a free intern. And if you do that for a lot of professors, then you're probably going to get a spot. And it's really impressive to colleges because these types of positions are very difficult to secure, and so they're usually a pretty good deal. So I was an intern at Georgetown University's neuroscience lab, and I mentioned kind of what I did, which was I advanced lab's phylogenetic projects by comparing mouse and frog neural morphology, conducted MaxiPrep, PCR, read articles presented weekly. And if you scroll up a little bit, you can see like some of the honors that I got. So from that research, I was able to become a neuroscience research prize finalist, a Siemens Science Fair semifinalist. And so a good tip for you is that if you ever do research with any professor, most likely you won't have enough skills to be able to start on your own project right away. And so toward the middle or the end, you should probably like raise your voice and ask like, oh, there's this competition that I was hoping to apply to. Do you think that it would be possible for me to submit this application to work on an independent project for the last few weeks that would help the lab and that I could submit to this competition? And if you have a really great PI or a mentor, then they'll be super happy to do it, and it'll be great. So that's my tips on research. The second couple are debate and speech. So I kind of had to do a couple because there was a lot of different competitions that I wanted to mention. So here I mentioned that I was the captain, and then I mentioned that I was the teaching coordinator, and then I mentioned that I was the publicist. And so this was, 12th grade, then 11th grade, then 10th grade. So you can see that it was something that I was involved with for a pretty long time. And so you can kind of see like what I did as a captain versus what I did as a teaching coordinator and what I did as a publicist. Now, this is where things got kind of funky because I also wanted to mention like what sorts of awards I was winning. And so here I kind of use this space to mention the competitions that I participated in and anything that I won as a result of the participation, even though the title was a little bit different. It's just because they had so little space that I had to kind of play around with things. And I encourage you to like stay pretty organized and consistent. But if you have to do this in order to add your accolades or your achievements, it's not a bad thing to just add those in wherever you can. Okay, so you can see some more competitions I participated in. Now, this is a internship that I had. It wasn't as time intensive as the research that I did, but it was kind of a patient advocacy organization, and I was on this team of two people to kind of develop this database to create an online registry of people who have this rare genetic condition. And ultimately, the goal was that there would be a congressional briefing where we could present the data and kind of organize all the details. So it was something that somebody emailed about at our high school, and so I was able to just email back and say that I'm really interested in, and they mentioned that they would be happy to have me. So that's another thing is sometimes you just have to be lucky or outgoing and kind of ask your high school counselor if there's any internships you know about, or maybe post in a local Facebook community and ask if anybody wants you as an intern. And usually you can get some like pretty cool job opportunities from people who are looking for free labor or who are looking to teach. And if you have a network, like your parents can connect you with one of your relatives or something to kind of intern for them for a summer or like 2 days a week or something, that's usually a pretty good deal. So just try to use your network. Try to go out there. Try to email people. Try to post in places and ask if people are willing to tutor for a summer or teach you or just have you along for a day in a life. Okay, now I had some research, and this was a research project that I did um, kind of like with one of my friends by ourselves, and we were kind of developing this Python program, and we presented it at this competition called MIT Inspire, and we kind of got to some level of distinction. Okay, the next thing is community service work. So I was a volunteer at an emergency room. If you're trying to apply to BSMD programs or you're trying to eventually apply to medical school, then doing some sort of clinical volunteering is a pretty good idea. The definition I've got for clinical volunteering is that you're able to smell a patient. So if you're doing something like um, texting people in crisis or calling people in crisis, I don't entirely think that counts as clinical work. But if you're able to like volunteer in an emergency room or work as a paramedic or work as an EMT, those are things that count as clinical service. And if you have the ability to do clinical work earlier on, it's really good because if you continue those things in college, like the same thing, you're able to cite those hours in your med school application. So if med school is eventually something you want to apply to, then getting some clinical hours in high school is usually a good idea. And it's still good for like college applications too, because it's pretty impressive that you're able to get clinical service. Okay, the next thing is being a coach for the Eagle Ridge Middle School Debate Club. And if you watched my video on the Common Application essay, you can see that this is ultimately what I wrote my Common App essay about. And then finally, I have I think this is final. Yeah, this is the final thing, which is I have my foreign language group. So I was part of the German Honor Society because I took German for 4 or 5 years uh, in middle school and high school, and so I mentioned like kind of my duties as a member and this award that I won and things like that. Whew. All right, so those are my activities. Those are kind of the breakdown of how you can do the same activities, what makes a strong application, what I would change, things like that. If you have any questions down in the comments, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. I'm really happy to answer them. I also offer a service of editing resumes for high school students. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check out the link in the comments. Um, Otherwise, I hope you have a really great day. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for making it through, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.